AB409 relating to passing certain vehicles stopped on or near a highway. Representative Piovarczyk and Senator James. You both have the floor.
All right. Good afternoon, Chairperson Spiros and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of Assembly Bill 409, which will expand Wisconsin's move over, slow down law to cover all disabled vehicles on the side of the road. This is a bill rooted in common sense. Current Wisconsin law requires drivers to move over or slow down when passing emergency vehicles or roadside assistant vehicles stopped on or near the roadway. These protections were created for good reason. Working on or near a live traffic lane is extremely dangerous. But the law as it stands doesn't protect ordinary motorists, the parent waiting in the car with a child for a tow truck, the teenager trying to change a flat tire, or the Good Samaritan who pulls over to help someone in distress. These individuals face the same dangers as tow truck drivers or first responders, yet they are not protected under our current statutes. Between 2017 and 2021, more than 1,800 people nationwide were killed after exiting a disabled vehicle on the side of a road. That's an average of 325 lives lost every year, often in entirely preventable situations. These aren't just numbers, they are names, stories, and families forever changed. Here in Wisconsin, we've seen too many of these tragedies. A Beaver Dam woman was struck and killed while helping others after a crash on Highway 151. A semi-driver was fatally hit while changing a flat tire near Rothschild. Every one of these stories reminds us that a roadside danger doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter whether you're in uniform or just driving home from work. If you're on the shoulder of a busy road, you're vulnerable. This bill is a chance to correct that gap by requiring drivers to move over or slow down when approaching any disabled vehicle that is visibly in distress, whether through hazard lights, flares, or a person attending to the vehicle. We can significantly reduce the risk of injury and death. Other states have already recognized the urgency of this issue. 28 states, including our neighbors, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Minnesota, have enacted similar protections. Wisconsin should not be left behind in this effort to save lives. This is not a political issue, but a matter of public safety. It's about protecting human life. These tragedies are not inevitable, they are preventable, and the solution is right in front of us. I urge you to support this legislation and make Wisconsin roads safer for everyone. Thank you for your time, and I'm open to any questions.
Let's go to Senator James.
Thank you, Chairman Spiros and other members for hearing testimony today on Assembly Bill 409. This is a straightforward, common sense piece of legislation that will save lives. It could even save yours one day. Current law offers robust protections for emergency and roadside assistant vehicles, requiring drivers to move over a lane or slow down when driving by. However, Wisconsin law does not protect disabled motorists or any other stationary vehicle in a breakdown lane, even though the drivers of these vehicles often face the same dangers as protected first responders and utility workers and tow truck drivers. Assembly Bill 409 extends these protections currently offered to emergency and roadside assistant workers to all stranded vehicles on the highway. In my professional role as a police officer, I've made more traffic stops on the side of the road than I could ever count. Although there's always some level of danger, I can feel confident that people who drive by will see the flashing lights of my vehicle and give me space to work. In Wisconsin, stranded motorists should be afforded the same privilege. Once this bill is signed into law, Wisconsin will join our other neighboring states, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Minnesota, for a total of 28 across our country in protecting vulnerable travelers as they seek to fix their car or wait for help. This bill is an important step forward in protecting all Wisconsinites who might be trapped on the side of the road. These accidents and deaths are preventable. Thank you, and we'll take some questions.
Sorwell.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony on the bills here. So, two questions then. You mentioned a number of states, 28, I think you just said. 28 have this law on the books. So how much has that change in their laws reduced fatalities in those states?
So I don't have that answer. We will be having someone from AAA that will probably be able to answer that question.
Okay, because we always want to try to improve situations, always try to help with things, but I mean, even by the numbers you're forwarding here, 325 lost per year, it looks like that's national if I'm looking at this.
Correct.
That's literally 1 in a million. And so I'm just wondering how much we can improve from 1 in a million. 335 or so million people in the United States, 325 deaths a year, that's 1 in a million. So just wondering how much we can improve, so thank you.
Representative Emerson.
Did you want to answer? Or?
Yeah, so that's one statistic. It's covering the deaths, but it's not, if there's not a death, that's not covering the crashes that happen, the secondary crashes and everything that take place due to stranded motorists on the side. So the death number you can get hung up on, but the crashes that take place because of a stranded motorist, I'd like to know those details as well. But I wrote down some questions. I'll get some answers for you.
Now, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. I think enough of us travel on the highway every single week that we see all of this happening, and I think this is a good bill, and I'm happy that it's coming before us. My only question, and I'm thinking more specifically about like after there's been kind of a snowstorm and several vehicles end up in the ditch afterwards, and it takes a while for the state to kind of dig out from a big occurrence like that. So when it has been like taped with caution tape from the police, like we've seen this one, we're getting to it, we just haven't gotten to it right away. Would that be considered a disabled vehicle, or is it more of an active situation where there's flashers going or there's somebody actively trying to work on it?
So under the definition of disabled vehicles, yeah, flashers would have to be activated or someone actively working on it. I believe Ledge Council can maybe help on this. I think it's a vehicle that's parked within 15 feet of the roadway. It would be defined as disabled. So if you have a vehicle that's way down in a ditch, I don't believe that would count, but maybe Ledge Council can clarify that.
It's 12 feet.
Is it 12 feet? 12 feet.
12.
Thank you. It is 12 feet. The only other indicator might be an emergency warning device other than emergency flare, but I think that is something more active than an unattended vehicle.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure that because sometimes like on the belt line or something like that, there might be a car there for a day or two for whatever reason. Just wanted to make sure that that's not included in that, make sure that we've got clarification on that, so, okay.
Ledge Council, you'd agree that doesn't qualify under this bill, those types of vehicles?
I think under my reading of the bill, that would not qualify as a warning device.
Okay, all right, thank you. Just wanted to understand it fully, thank you.
Seeing no other questions, thank you both. Next up is Nicholas Jarmus from AAA speaking in favor. Nicholas, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Spiros, members of the committee, for the opportunity to be here today. And thank you to Vice Chair Pivovarchik, Senator James, Representative Dokow, Stefan, and Spouty and the rest of their bipartisan co-sponsors from both chambers for bringing this legislation forward. My name is Nick Jarmus, and I'm the Director of Public Affairs for AAA, the Auto Club Group. The Auto Club Group provides roadside assistance and other travel-related services to over 700,000 AAA members in the state of Wisconsin. The safety of those members and other roadway users has always been our top priority as an organization. We know from tragic and too frequent experience that the roadside is an extremely dangerous place to be. And that's why all 50 states have adopted laws requiring motorists to move over or slow down when passing emergency response vehicles, including tow trucks, when they are parked on the side of the road with their lights flashing. The hazards that necessitate these laws are also faced by motorists while they are waiting for assistance or trying to address vehicle issues themselves on the roadside. As has been stated, nationwide, approximately 350 people are struck and killed on the roadside each year. That's an average of 6 per week. And that is why AAA has been trying to expand existing move-over laws to cover all motorists on the side of the road with their hazard lights activated. And as it has been stated so far, 28 states, including our neighbors Minnesota, Illinois, and Iowa, have adopted these expanded protections. We believe there is good reason to think that changing this law will change people's actions when passing disabled vehicles and thus save lives. According to a recent survey conducted by AAA, 83% of Wisconsin motorists say that they always move over or slow down when they see the flashing lights of an emergency vehicle, as is currently required by law. Only 49% say that they do so for disabled vehicles, even though nearly 90% of them favor expanding the law to include them. We know that laws alone cannot prevent tragedies on our roadways, and we know that some practices and behaviors seem like such common sense that they shouldn't need to be legislated. But there is clear and demonstrable value in codifying these best practices into law, especially when failure to follow them creates such an acute risk and causes so many preventable tragedies. AAA urges this committee to advance Assembly Bill 409, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about it.
Representative Sortwell.
Well, sir, since you represent a national organization, tell me what the results have been from passing this bill in other states. What percentage reduction have you seen?
It's impossible to say right now. Of the 28 states that have adopted this change, 20 of them have done so only in the last few years.
What about the other 8?
As you know, there is a lag in traffic reports and that data, so it's difficult to say, whether that change has made a difference in each of those states just yet.
What about the other 8?
In the other 8, those provisions were built into the law from the start in many cases, so it's difficult to use existing data to find a test case of a state that had this law that didn't cover all motorists and then expanded it to cover all motorists at this time until we get data from those other states.
But do you have comparative numbers to say how many roadside disabled vehicle accidents are averaged in those 8 states versus in states that haven't instituted this?
No, the data is difficult to say, and I would venture to say that the volume of incidents that we're talking about is undercounted just because of the way that each state codes traffic incidents. There really is not a code in Wisconsin necessarily to even say this was a person who was on the side of the road working on their vehicle or waiting for assistance. It's either coded as a pedestrian incident, on the highway, or it's coded in some other sort of crash. So we're probably talking about much more than that 350 average per year. And I would also venture to say that there seems to be little to no downside in expanding this to cover everyone that's on the side of the road. Regardless of how many or few deaths it could be eliminating, it seems like even if it could, save one life, I don't see the downside to doing it.
Well, I mean, there is a potential downside because if everyone's moving over, theoretically that creates congestion, which then could result in additional crashes and theoretically fatality. So there is a potential. So we should acknowledge it. But
crashes,
I would be interested to see if you have numbers from those 8 states. Thank you.
Congestion in and of itself does not cause crashes.
Representative Jacobson.
Having been on Highway 41 in congestion, I'll tell you, I know otherwise.
Representative Jacobson.
I think Representative Sortwell was at something a little different, but maybe you already answered the question I had. Is there data out there that AAA has on the number of non-fatal roadside collisions? I completely support.
No, I mean, that data is even harder to come by. As you know, with traffic crash reporting, there typically is more scrutiny and more reporting done on fatal crashes than on injury or property crashes. So that's even harder to pinpoint with great precision.
Thank you.
Representative McGuire.
I'm just curious, we have a lot of requirements already, or a few requirements already for people to move to the other lane, when there's a police stop or when there's road work happening, county cleanup crews, things like that. Do you have any data indicating that that creates a tremendous increase in the amount of accidents surrounding those?
No, I mean, there's been studies, I know even our University of Wisconsin had done a study several years ago looking at secondary crashes, caused by roadside incidents, but I don't think the ability to, or that examined a difference in whether a move over law was in place or whether people moved over or not. In cases where there was a secondary crash, it's hard to determine whether this law change would have necessarily prevented that. Again, with great precision.
Thank you.
It's like an old man walking. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Chairman.
That'll end testimony for Assembly Bill 409.